I'm Mike O'Neill with Bench Builders, and we're speaking with thought leaders to uncover tips to help you break down the barriers that are keeping you or your business stuck. Joining me today is Brian Rutberg. Brian is the founder and president of Seattle-based 3C Communications. Welcome, Brian.
Mike, good afternoon, and hello to our watchers and listeners.
Well, it's good to have you back. For those who don't know Brian, Brian was an expert panelist on our webinar series, and I've asked Brian to come back and share how he and his company works with leaders in sales and marketing and customer support to build more profitable and long-lasting relationships with their customers. And as we're thinking about how COVID has impacted our economy, it just strikes me, and I hope it strikes our listeners, of how critically important it is to be keenly aware of our customers and the value they bring. So let's just jump right in. Brian, the name of your business is 3C Communications. What does 3C stand for?
Well, one of the joys of owning a business is you get to make these decisions, and you can sort of represent what you want. When I started the business, I referred to it as you've got to create your message, communicate it out, but it's most important to connect with the audience that you want to reach, create, communicate, connect. And over time, that's taken on, my clients have led me in a new direction with it. Now I tend to refer to 3C as the customer connection company, helping, as you said, companies build stronger, longer lasting, more profitable relationships with their customers. But it's all about the customer, whether you think about it with the communications first, or you think about all the things that go into building great customer experience. Let's call it the customer connection company, shall we?
That we will. And you made reference to the value of the right customer relationships, but you've also introduced me to this notion of customer lifetime value. What do you mean by that phrase?
Well, and it's certainly nothing I can lay claim to as my own. CLV or CLTV, customer lifetime value, is a fairly well established concept out there in the world that I live in of what is it worth on a purely financial perspective, what is it worth to have a customer through the lifetime of your relationship? So if you're selling diapers, you might have a customer for a year at a time. If you're selling life insurance, you might have a customer over the entirety of their lifetime. And if you're a retailer or you are a professional services provider, it's largely up to you and how you treat your customers and how they feel about you, just how long that relationship goes on and what they're going to tend to spend with you versus your competitors or other choices that they have.
I hope this question is not too technical, but we've got leaders who are listening in. If you were to kind of, in broad terms, share with us, how do you kind of calculate the customer lifetime value? What are some things that we need to be mindful of?
And this one's fairly straightforward because it is just an equation. What we can talk about is that it leaves a few things out that I consider to be important, and companies find out are equally important to the financial value. But how much is your customer or client spending with you in a given transaction? How often over a particular time period do they do that transaction? So if you're running a software as a service company, you're getting paid 12 times a year or 4 times a year if you're going on a monthly or quarterly basis. But there's other businesses where customers choose to buy from you as they choose to buy from you, and you can impact the result of the equation by either increasing average spend per engagement or increasing the frequency of engagements. And then the last very critical component of this 3-part equation is, what is the lifetime of the relationship? So if I'm selling you cars, do I want you coming back every 3 to 5 years to buy cars? If you're going to another dealer, I've lost out because I only get one bite at the apple with you. if I'm selling you and your family cars for a lifetime and you're doing, hey, you've got a much higher customer lifetime value. So it's average spend per transaction, total number of transactions multiplied by each other, and then multiplied by how long is the overall relationship. That gives you your formal CLV or CLTV.
Well said. If there are folks who would like to continue this conversation with you, what's the best way for folks to reach you online?
Yeah. 3C Communications has a website. It is 3ccoms.com. So 3CCOMMS.com. And through that, you can find the newsletter that I offer once to twice a month. You can find lots of information about the company and my philosophy on building customer engagement. And you'll see front and center that great question: do your customers love you enough? Come find me there, shoot me a note, and let's talk about how you can create more customer love in your environment.
I want to encourage our listeners to do that very thing. Brian, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you to all who have paid attention here. And Mike, as always, thank you for your friendship and finding this topic as interesting as I do.